Hi darlings and mountaineers, welcome to my channel Me and Places. I'm Paulina, and right now I am in a very special place. This place is so special I wanted to make a video just about it, and I wanted to make it for a few years already, and finally I'm here to do that. So right now I am on Symbolic cemetery. This place is situated in high Tatras of Slovakia, 10 minutes walk from Popradzke lake. Symbolic cemetery means that nobody is actually buried here, but this is a place to remember and honor the memory of people who died in mountains or were mountaineers from this area, from the Tatra area. This is the trail to Symbolic cemetery. It's just 10 minutes walk from the Popradzke lake. And you can already see the creative crosses. That's the sign you're going right way. Look at this craft. It's beautiful. And this place is full of plaques that are here in a memory of people who died. People connected to mountains who died. The place also has many handcrafted crosses. Look at those, these are beautiful. This cemetery is situated on the elevation of 1525 meters. And this place was started by Otakar Staffel and his wife Vlasta in 1936. It was started under a motto, in the memory of the dead and a warning for alive. So this exists to raise awareness about safety in the mountains and for fond memories about those who died. But it is not possible to keep the memory alive if you do not know the stories behind all these plaques here. And that is why I want to uncover some of those stories for you. For example, here you can see a plaque in a memory of Wachter Jene. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce this beautiful Hungarian name, but this was a Hungarian mountaineer who climbed in Tatras in 1906 and 1907. Unfortunately, in 1907 he climbed his last peak and died descending from Žabikon. You can see that happened on August 1907. They say his rope was of poor quality, and this actually sparked arguments in the climbing community. Parties who argued disagreed with each other, and that's how Hungarian Tourist Association split, and a new organization was formed that actually focused on safe climbing techniques. It's a terrible death, but how meaningful it ended up to be in some way. One time I took a ride on Dunajec River in Lesser Poland, and the guide was wearing a very peculiar clothes, which is actually a usual clothes to wear for sub-ethnic group of people in Poland called Gorals or Highlanders. And here on this Symbolic cemetery is a memorial to one very famous Goral. Here he is. He was an awesome guide and a rescuer, and his name was Klimek Pachleda, or Clemens, but they called him Klimek. His memorial plaque is right here under the chapel. He had great skill navigating through unknown, difficult and rocky terrain. No wonder he was a pioneer in almost a dozen of new routes in Tatras, including descending Lomnitsky Shtit from the northern wall in 1988. And the story goes that on August 4th in 1910, Stanisław Szulakewicz. I think this video is made to honor people, but it might be very disgraceful because of how I'm desperately trying to pronounce these names. Anyway, Stanisław with 2 more people started their climbing journey from Zakopane on that day. The weather was disastrous, so 1 person returned to the village, but 2 others proceeded because they wanted to climb Mały Jaworowy peak I think is in eastern Tatras. Climber fell while trying and Stanisław got serious injuries, so his buddy secured him, left him food and water and went back to ask for help. At the point when rescue operation started, the weather was hell. Heavy rain, hail, striking lightning. It became clear at some point that operation will not be possible, so it was stopped. And at that point, rescuers were 50 to 80 meters from Stanisław. This would be so close on a walking road, and yet it is so far on a rocky wall under the big storm. At this point, the rope between Klimek and others got stuck on the rock, so Klimek untied himself and disappeared into the fog to continue the mission alone. Soon a rock avalanche crashed through the space, and 2 more expeditions were set to rescue Stanisław. And on the last one they actually got to his body, but unfortunately he was already dead. And so was Klimek, but this was yet unknown for others. Knowing his great climbing skills, being called the Eagle of Tatras, they hoped he would descend from the other side. And on Saturday, August 13th, Klimek's body was found. He fell 200 meters before dying in his beloved Tatras. His grave is situated in Zakopane. He believed a guide's duty was to the very end, and in climbing alone to save another, the mountains claimed him, a testament to his courage. This one here, Alois Lutonsky. So Alois Lutonsky was actually a speleologist. He loved caves. Speleologist means scientific study of caves. He played a big role making many caves accessible for public, and he also played a big role in Jasna ski resort development. His contributions are remembered and celebrated. For example, there is a promenade called Lutonsky Promenade. It is situated in Jasna and it is an educational trail. Alois also wrote books about mountains and about history of mountain huts. He lived a long life and he died in Liptovsky Mikuláš at the age of 91. And the peculiar thing is that he discussed opening a cemetery like this, a symbolic cemetery, with Otakar Staffel, who actually built it later. And now Alois himself is remembered here on a plaque on one of the stones, actually right near to Otakar Staffel. And here is a plaque to themselves in the memory of people who started this cemetery. You can see the artsy part in this because he was also a painter, Otakar Staffel. You can see the upper plaque over there. It states 25th June 1979, Mlynitska Dolina. So this memorial is in a memory of people who died in a helicopter crash in the upper part of Mlynitska Valley. Now there are a few interesting stories behind this. For example, Milan Kryšák had a free day from services. He just came to the service center to hang out with his colleagues. I think this bird has something more important to say. I'm sure it knows better. So him being on that helicopter was actually a big coincidence that should not have happened in the first place. Another random decision was made by Bernard Jamnicki. You can see his name on the upper right corner of the plaque. 10 years before, Bernard survived a helicopter crash. The pilot then died, and Bernard swore that he will never ever enter a helicopter again. I don't know what changed that day, but he decided to take that ride. And unfortunately, it ended up to be a deadly one. So when the helicopter was about to sit down, a strong wind suddenly changed direction and messed up with the vehicle. The helicopter crashed and exploded. The rescuers, Stefan Estochko, Martin Hudak, Pavel Huska, and Bernard Jamnicki, died at the spot. So did the pilot, Vladimir Blachak, and the mechanic, Václav Dvorak. But Milan Kryšák was still alive when the help arrived, and from outside his wounds did not seem deadly. He was transported into a hospital where he unexpectedly died from the inside injuries. Turned out, crawling out of a burning helicopter damaged his lungs. And here on this one you can see names like Janusz Rybicki, Janusz Kubica. This plaque is in a memory of people who died in another helicopter crash. Sounds like those helicopters are deadly as hell. This helicopter crash happened in 1994 and ended up in more deaths of brave rescuers. Janusz Rybicki was a pilot on that deadly mission to rescue Swedish tourists who had broken legs. There was a delamination in helicopter's rotor blade, which made it fall out and hit the tail. The helicopter crashed, and Polish president actually awarded Janusz Rybicki with a Cross of Bravery. And this is a plaque of Jan Jamnicki. You can see it looks somewhat artsy, even the way in which his name is written. This is because Jan was a talented artist from Slovenia. He was a screenwriter, an actor, and a director. And he was granted medals and titles such as National Artist of Slovenia title. Do you see this one right here? Jan Franchuk. Far away in Pakistan stands a high peak of Kunyang Chish, which is as high as 7,852 meters. And nobody could actually summit it. 2 expeditions failed until 1971, because then the Polish team, of course Polish, was the first one to reach the summit. And Jan Franchuk was part of that team. He was the youngest one. But not everyone survived this expedition. The youngest one fell and died under a heavy snow. One of the party members was a doctor, and he wanted to save young Jan, but as he reached his body, one could only declare his death. Companions returned to the camp, depressed and helpless. Getting Jan's body down seemed impossible. It seemed equally impossible reaching the summit. But after consideration, the group proceeded in the honor and name of Jan. I wish that brave Jan knew that their expedition was the first one to rise to the top of that mountain. There is a documentary about this expedition dedicated to Jan. It is called Kunyang Chish, the Corner Mountain, but it is in Polish. And there is also a route in French Alps called after Jan Franchuk, Voie Petit Jean. And right here is Josef Sotka. I mean, it's not him, it's a plaque in his memory. He was born in Slovakia, in Košice, and same as for many extraordinary mountaineers, his love for mountains started from Tatras. But for him, it started very young. In 1981, he already climbed the first 8,000er of his. And on October 15th of 1984, he, with a group of other Slovak people, were the first Slovak group to summit Everest without any supplement oxygen. And actually, on the way back from there, he sadly died. And this year, 2025, this guy was posthumously awarded Ludovich Tur Order 3rd Class Award. It's one of the state honors awarded for achievements that benefited the country of Slovakia. Up there you can see Jerzy Kukuczka, and there is Wanda Rutkiewicz. Oh, and a beautiful butterfly just flew over there. Jerzy Kukuczka ascended all 8,000ers, and he was the second person to do that. But compared to the first one, he did it on a shoestring budget, through avalanches and extreme weather conditions, and usually taking new or very hard routes. Actually, back in 80s, Polish climbers were known as ice warriors because of brutal ice climbs they did, and Jerzy did few of those. He died in 1989 in Nepal, climbing Lhotse. Ironically, this was also the first mountain of 8,000ers that he actually climbed 10 years prior to his death. So it's like finishing a logical loop. On that final fatal climb of his, he tried to summit Lhotse from unclimbed southern side. His rope snapped, letting him fall 2,000 meters until meeting his death. We have fewer resources than Western climbers, he said, but we have something else: courage, creativity, stubbornness. And that is our advantage. Here are some quotes of his. The mountains give you everything: happiness, suffering, friendship, solitude. But they demand respect above all. I don't climb to be famous. I climb to go where no one has gone before. And death is part of the game. You accept it. You don't seek for it. But you climb knowing the mountains don't forgive mistakes. An extraordinary person he was. And Wanda Rutkiewicz, I'm a big fan of hers, was also an extraordinary person. Her passion for climbing actually found her accidentally. One time, on the road, her motorcycle ran out of fuel, and people who stopped to pick her up had a climber on board. And that climber introduced Wanda to climbing in Góry Sokole, in the western side of Poland, near to the border with Czech Republic. And there she understood mountains are a place to be, and climbing is a thing to do. And so she did till the end of her life. Her first ever expedition took her to Pamir Mountains. But climbing in a male community did not feel very rewarding for her. She felt like she received abasing treatment, and that stopped her from developing and from being independent. So she started her own expeditions, and many of them were female only, and that made a huge impact on female climbers in Soviet time. And she was the first woman to climb K2, and she also was the first Polish woman to climb Mount Everest. She wanted to climb all 14 8,000ers. She managed to climb 8 or 9 of them. Mount Kanchenjunga became her grave. She was last seen on her way to the summit of that mountain, sheltering in a cave. We don't really know if she reached the summit or if she died on her way up. Her body was never really found. I don't seek death, she said, but I accept it. Dying in the mountains would be an easy death for me, and I will join my friends, she used to say. She also used to say, I'm not lonely in the mountains. I think there is more loneliness between people. In mountains is a freedom of choice, a kind of self-acceptance, a time to enjoy being alone. After all, it seems to me like she was a loner, an independent climber overall. And I love to think that she died happy. As she wrote in her autobiographic book, sitting on the edge of the world, cut off from everything that is important to others, but happy where she is. Have a peaceful rest, Wanda. I think when somebody goes, hey, I have this passion, which is absolutely deadly, but only that activity brings me feelings of being so alive, so here and now, and these are moments I'm living for. And somebody else is going, hey, since I know you might die there, I will put my own life at risk just to secure you having this experience. And somehow I think it's one of the most human things to do. It's a human thing in its irrationality, in its hunt for very strong feelings, and it's somehow very human to want to secure these for somebody else, if you know what I mean. And I wanted to tell these stories because these people with interesting lives, with passion for mountains, died. But telling the stories, hearing them, retelling them, reading them, imagining how their life went, and thinking about them just for a moment gives them life in this moment now. And this is the only way we can give them life. Darlings, these stories I shared with you are just a small, tiny part of all the souls that are remembered here in these beautiful mountains. Actually, finding even these few stories was not that easy. I mostly found information in Slovak and Polish, and it took some translating to figure those out. So if you know more, anything about people who are remembered in this beautiful place, please let me know in the comments. And if there is somebody from your personal life whom you know who died in the mountains and you want to share a memory about them, let's do that in the comments too. Anyways, darlings, thank you for following my adventures, and see you somewhere else.